This is a video about where rights come from. So to begin with, what is a right? In my opinion, the best and most concise definition of a right comes from the philosopher Ayn Rand. It's a moral principle defining and sanctioning a human being's freedom of action in a social context. And now that we have a working definition, where do rights come from? Well, let me begin by saying where they do not come from. God. Now, it would be nice if they did, but they simply do not. And let me prove why they don't by beginning with the fact that it cannot even be proven God exists, let alone that he, she, it, or them endowed human beings with any type of rights. So if it cannot be proven God exists, how can it be proven he gave anybody rights? Simple, it can't. This is why it was such a huge mistake for the Founding Fathers to base the rights of American citizens on the concept of God. But let's look at what the founders had to say by beginning with the founding document of the United States of America, the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, etc. The founders said that all men are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights. So, now we're not just talking about rights, but more specifically, unalienable rights. And what does unalienable mean? It means something that cannot be taken away, period. So my question is, if our rights are endowed to us by God, and if they're unalienable, why don't we possess them? In fact, why doesn't any human being in the entire world possess them? Obviously, because they're not unalienable. So obviously, God didn't endow human beings with unalienable rights. It's simple logic. If God endowed human beings with unalienable rights, no federal government, no state government, no local government, or no other individual human being could possibly take them away. So obviously, because federal governments, state governments, and local governments, and individual human beings violate the so-called unalienable rights of human beings all the time, they are in fact extremely alienable. That's why the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Now, don't get me wrong. I wish they were unalienable, but it's blatantly self-evident that they're not. And that's why they must always be fought for. So, getting back to where rights come from, it's simple. Reason and reason alone. Rights come from a mind that has the ability to understand the issues involved and then identify why human beings should have the sovereignty to commit to a certain course of action, as long as that human being doesn't violate the equal rights of another to do the same. Rights are based on reason and reason alone, period. And this is why rights were only recognized after the period known as the Enlightenment. And what were human beings enlightened about? The power of reason. And this is easily proven by simply asking a couple of questions. Would rights exist on Earth if human beings did not exist on Earth? Of course not. And why not? Because over time, the reasoning human mind created the concept of rights. Take the human mind out of the equation, and rights on Earth no longer exist, period. All you have to do is spend some time studying world history. It doesn't matter where you're at or what time period you're in. When do human beings get rights? Simple. When they first identify and then demand them. And only after this is done does a government, society, civilization, tribe, etc. begin to respect them. And they begin to respect them because they were proven using reason to be rational, logical, ethical, and absolutely essential for long-term human growth and advancement. Of course, this usually only happens after the people demanding the rights resort to some type of violence, but that's usually the price that must be paid because those in power almost never give up that power without a fight. Another fact that proves this point is that only after the Founding Fathers explicitly declared the existence of unalienable rights were they ever recognized and respected. If God endowed human beings with unalienable rights, why were they only recognized a little over 200 years ago? And why only in America? And why didn't Indians have them? Why didn't blacks have them? Why didn't women have them? Why didn't the Chinese have them? Why didn't Muslims have them? Etc. Did God only endow 5% of the world's population with rights? The entire premise is ridiculous on its face. The idea of unalienable rights only came into existence when a small percentage of human beings recognized the need for them. Unalienable rights only came into existence when a small percentage of human beings used reason, logic, and common sense to identify a new political paradigm based on individual liberty and on the recognition that to be moral, a human being must be free. And the more freedom human beings possess, the more moral acts they can commit. The less freedom human beings possess, the less moral acts they can commit. But in order to commit any type of moral act, a human being must have the freedom to commit it, which means a human being must have the right to commit it. The founding fathers were the first men in history to identify the ideal of human beings having unalienable individual rights. But because they mistakenly based them on a creator that not be proven to exist and not reason, they have slowly but surely been taken away. Unalienable rights need to be recognized, not because some imaginary cosmic puppet master of the universe gave them to us, but because reason has proven they are essential for human beings who want to live in a moral, civilized, rational society. And they could only be discovered, identified, and defended by reason and reason alone. Any other type of defense is hopeless, inept, and ultimately meaningless. If you're interested in these ideas, if you want to learn about ethics and the prerequisites of morality, if you want to be able to defend the right of every human being to their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, my new book, The Common Sense Ethics of a Blue-Collar Philosopher by S.G. Applebee, available at Publish America and other online bookstores, will enable you to do it. Thank you for your time.